images. We're going to transform those images. We're going to scale them and skew them and rotate them and bring them around the screen.
Pentium is thinking.
It is working. We have an hourglass, and that will help us to know that it's hard at work. Again, this is an actual file created by an artist. It's got over 200 actions in it. We're using gradients, brush strokes, we're using fills and transforms to actually construct this movie poster.
A lot of our customers do this many, many, many times every day.
So using masks, selecting regions, we're using lighting effects. Now we're bringing more layers to the front with brush strokes. You see the Power Mac has begun a radial blur effect on the left.
All right, the Power Mac is done. Pentium's still working there.
Yes.
Doesn't give you much feedback, but you have the hourglass. It's calculating probably the radial blur right about now.
Yes.
All right. Pentium is done, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, what we see here is 500 megahertz G4, 1 gigahertz Pentium. Yes. There we go. And it took 108 seconds for the Power Mac to complete this task. The same task took 124 seconds on the Pentium 3 running at a gigahertz. And if you calculate this, it yields the result that the Power Mac G4 running at 500 megahertz is the equivalent of a 1.1 gigahertz Pentium. 1.1 gigahertz Pentium in performance. So we thought this was great. But we got to thinking, if one G4 was this fast, 2 brains are better than 1. So what if we took 2 G4s running at 500 megahertz and said, how does that compare to one Pentium 3 running at a gigahertz? So let's find out. Phil, we happen to have another Power Mac with dual processor G4s right here.
So now what you'll have up on your screen on the left is a new Power Mac G4 with 2 500 megahertz G4 chips in it. On the right, that Pentium 3 with the fastest 1 gigahertz Pentium class processor in it. Again, we'll bring Photoshop to the front.
All right.
And on the count of 3, if you'd like to count us down this time.
3, 2, 1, go.
So the same image file, the same actions. Now, of course, we can take that same file and run it from the single G4 now on dual G4s, and Photoshop automatically has built-in support for the dual processor G4 chip. And so you'll see much faster speeds now as it's breaking up its tasks across the 2 processors. So the Power Mac is laid in its background with its transforms and its gradients, creating its gear. And on these lighting effects and radial blurs and the things that really push the processor performance, the Power Mac just zooms far ahead.
And the Power Mac is done. The Pentium 3, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're not going to wait for it to be done. We know how long it will take. So, what we have here is the same 124 seconds for the gigahertz Pentium 3, but only 61 seconds for the dual processor G4. And if you do the math, what that says is 2 G4s running at 500 megahertz each equals a 2 gigahertz Pentium. You can't buy such a thing, but when you can, it will be equal. So it's amazing. And what are we going to do with this? Well, it's running at over 7 gigaflops. And we want to get this performance out to everybody. So, as you know, we make 3 models of Power Macs. And what we're going to do is take the 400 megahertz model and keep it a single processor, but we've now made the 450 and the 500 megahertz models dual processor standard. Built-in standard. You can't even buy them with one processor anymore. And these are incredible machines. We've gone even further. We've built in gigabit Ethernet on the motherboard now. It does not even take a slot. So you have gigabit Ethernet built into every one of these 3 Power Mac models. We've also increased the mass storage to 20, 30, and 40 gigabytes. We've included the new optical mouse and Pro keyboard. And these incredible machines with all of this are the same price as before. So this is what we've been up to with the Power Mac G4. And again, based on this incredible G4 chip,